Okay, I've had a few people ask me, if you just stuck a chair in the arena, how long would it take for your horses to come over to you? I said minutes. Mere minutes. Let's see how many seconds this is. I think 20, 30. Here's Annie. Hello, Annie. How's it going? She says, what's happening? I didn't think she'd be the first to come up though. I thought Mr. Wild would be the first, but he's hanging out with Yoka right now. So he's busy doing stuff. What? Here he comes. He's getting cut off. He's getting cut off by the little one. Oh man. Annie, you're in the way. Here comes Yoka. I knew she would be. I put a list up. I'll have to find it. But I commented. I said, this is the order I think horses would show up. Although we are missing a couple. Hello, Yoka. You guys are the cutest. We're missing Luke and Roni. They're in right now. Not out with these guys at the moment. I guess what I didn't include was, you know, who would come up in what order and why or how they could. See, he's coming. He knows to come. I don't have any carrots. I don't have any apples. I don't have any food with me. Not a thing, not a treat. Nothing. What are my other two horses doing? Lena and Gracie are away at the back. So you guys are the coolest. Cute, right? Hello, Annie. So, I thought I would take an opportunity to talk a little bit about mental health in horses while I was waiting, but it turns out I don't have to wait very long. I don't have to wait long at all. You guys are just right here. And it's an interesting topic that came up today. And we were chit-chatting about it and trying to discern these two. I've got the camera right in the middle here and I have to look at the two of them while I'm talking to you guys, and honestly it is the hardest thing to do without just being happy. I mean, I'm pretty happy overall, it's good, but honestly having these two right here he comes. And mental health of horses, there are quite a few factors involved with the mental health of horses, and I think it's really a really important thing to talk about. Annie. And today's that day. So I've been thinking about it a bit, we've talked about it a bit, and we've kind of come to the conclusion that there are probably 4 or 5 factors that need to be considered. Why, Annie? It's not a carrot. It's just a stick that the camera goes on, so I don't have to have it so close to me. So the factors that we want to think about, and I'll get to them in what I consider the most important, from the least to the most. And one of the least, I don't know if we could say one of the least, but out of the list, it's not a very big list, obviously, but we would kind of consider their sort of how clean they are. A lot of people get really concerned about whether or not their horse is tidy and cleaned and groomed up, and I get quite a few comments from people, you don't even brush your horses. And it's true, I don't really brush them very often. They don't seem to care that much, and it doesn't seem to really affect them from a mental well-being sort of thing. So while it's important to be able to groom, it's important to be able to touch, it's important to be able to clean and touch and take care of things for medical, but you got to be able to touch their eyes, get in their nose, touch their mouth and stuff like that, so that you can do medical things. For their mental well-being, it's a little bit lower on the scale. The next up that I consider important, and it's going to seem like a little bit of an odd one, actually, is food. And I'll get to this a little bit more in a bit, but while food is very important, obviously they need to be able to eat, they need to be able to have food in their tummy, they need to have water. The type of food as long as it is relatively healthy. We're not feeding straw, we're not feeding moldy or dirty food. We're feeding decent hay. It's kind of one of those things that when they have it, they'll be pretty good for it. And while it is good for their mental health, the rest of the things that kind of come with that, all the supplements and the cookies and the candies and the treats and the supplements and the step whatevers, grains, those don't fall into a very high scale of mental health, in my opinion, and of my findings, and of nature. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The next thing, the next thing that I kind of think about, or we talked about in regards to mental health and the well-being of the horse, is environment. And you'll find this to be the case when it comes to horses that have been in confined spaces, especially from a young age. They've been stalled the majority of the time. They've been put in small spaces almost always at nighttime, because that's what a lot of the horse world does. They get kind of let out during the day, but at nighttime they're stuck in a 12 by 12. Hello, Yoka. She's just right here. She's just right close staring. She's like, can I have a pet? Yes. Oh, she's looking at, oh, yeah. Annie, don't touch me. Get her, Yoka. And she'll be back. And this guy here, he's not sure what to do. If I could chase Yoka off, he'd come in real close and be snuggly. He's just waiting and being patient. So environment, I think, is really high up there. We're almost at, I think this is probably number 2 on the list. Environment is so vital that the things that you see in horses that some people just think are kind of normal, or that's the way it is, or something like that, chewing on everything, cribbing, weaving, bobbing, pacing, and it's kind of in combination with food. But you'll have horses that will, when it comes to getting food or feeding time, that they then sort of tend to freak out. They sort of tend to get really worried, and that can also come from improper feeding as well. But for the most part, I believe these things have a lot to do with environment. And the final thing that I think has to do with a horse's well-being and how happy they are, or how well-rounded they are, or how balanced they are, which also goes in line with things that come with chewing and cribbing and all those kinds of things, which go into the very last item on the list, which was grooming, because they can't co-groom. And that has to do with their social structure and interactions with people and horses. And I have this face just staring at me the whole time. She's so adorable. I'm talking to the camera and she's literally just staring at me. It's cool. Anyhow, so interactions, social interactions, not just with horses, but with people. And I think that a lot of horses' mental health goes down the drain, essentially, when they don't have proper or healthy social interactions, a social structure in their life. And in turn, they do go a little bit crazy, which can then exacerbate all of the other things that are in the list. Food, environment, grooming, co-grooming, which also falls into the social structure as well. But it's sort of one of those things that get concentrated on an awful lot. The very, very tippy top of the list, though, I think, is health, physical health. Plenty of horses are stuck in bad environments, bad feeding practices. They are riddled with ulcers. They've got terrible feet. They're not having their teeth taken care of, and their coat is a mess, or they are perpetually blanketed and they're very, very itchy. All of these things, their health, their physical health, their skin, their hooves, their teeth, their eyes, their ears, stomach, intestines, why horses colic, I think, is number one. So if you've got a horse that is in good health, good coat, good skin, good teeth, good eyes, good feet. Feet are very important. Horses' feet are just as important to them as our feet are to us. And horses with bad feet, which I've come across so many times, it's nuts. And owners don't solve the problems as fast as they can. Maybe not aware of them. Maybe their professional isn't aware of them. It can make a horse very, very grumpy. So number one is that. Number two, social structure. And that means that they're going to be able to be with other horses, but not just that. I think it's absolutely vital that horses have a good relationship with their handlers or trainers or owners or everybody, the people that are around them. And this means that they're not running the show, is probably the best way to put it. Horses absolutely rely on a good, solid social structure, and plenty of them don't want to be in charge, but plenty of them get put in charge. And they're put in charge based on how their owners react. Many owners are afraid of their horses. They're afraid they're going to get run over, they're afraid they're going to get hurt, and it actually only makes the problem worse. So when you have a horse that gets into a social structure where they've got to be sort of defending themselves, they've got to be taking care of themselves, they've got to be telling people what to do for what they consider is the best care for themselves, usually you're going to have a stressed out horse, especially if that horse has to transfer to some other location, either by selling or adoption or giving away or leasing, any of these options out there where they've got to go somewhere else. You end up with a horse that becomes stressed out because they don't know any different other than that they're the boss. They know what to do. They know how to take care of themselves, and they know how to tell everybody what to do. And when they don't get that, they turn into what we usually see in the adult or human world, adult and child and human world, where we get these spoiled little kids that kind of run around telling their parents what to do when they don't get what they want, lay down on the ground in the grocery store or the toy store or something like that, and have themselves a good old temper tantrum. So social structure matters not only... What are you doing? Hi, Yoga. You big fuzzy. Not only matters to how they interact with other, they must have horse-to-horse socialization on a regular basis, but they also must have very healthy human-to-horse interactions. And I think that is so close to being the first most important, but we must take health in first. That it is a very close second. Third is environment. Don't stick them in tiny little stalls. Make sure they can get out. Make sure they have some freedom to move. Make sure they can enjoy the elements and have fresh air. All of those things are really, really important. Now, last, we're going to talk a little bit about food. We're going to talk about food because... Hi, Yoka. I'm walking this way. Do you want to come with me? We're going to talk about food because I want to talk a little bit about my guy. Stay. I'm with him. I want to talk about this guy and a little bit about Annie as well, because I think it's important to understand that plenty of horses can kind of get an addiction to some of the treats and cookies and extra fatty and extra sugary things that we give them that can then cause further problems in their mental health scale. Now, this guy here, he lives on hay. Before that, he lived on twigs and sticks and small pieces of grass and whatever else he could find in the wild, because he is previously feral/wild here in British Columbia. He's essentially a Mustang. He's a Canadian Mustang. He is the coolest Mustang. Hi, buddy. And if he can survive, now the place that he was at that I got him from, I don't think we're feeding him for a little bit, so he was a little bit down on his luck, and so he obviously got a lot chubbier when he was here. After he got here, because he got some solid food in him and stuff like that. So I think that's very, very important. Don't get me wrong. But I think that a lot of the things that horses are given turn them into addicts. No different than we do with sugar. I love a good chocolate muffin. Got some from Costco from a buddy. Half the pack's gone, and that was yesterday. I'm an addict. I know it. I love sugar. I love it. Well, you two are the cutest. I don't think horses get anything different. We talk about laminitis. Laminitis is a form of diabetes in horses. Horses get too much sugar in their grass, they get too much sugar in their grain, they get stuff that's covered in molasses, or it's covered in some kind of tasty, num-nums, sugary, you can smell it from a mile away, and they just become addicts. I don't think that's any good for their mental health whatsoever. In fact, I think it's detrimental in the end. So if a horse in nature can survive, maybe not completely thrive, off of the basics, and plenty of them do thrive, by the way, we're just talking about this guy. But since then, the majority of what he has, basic hay, and he's doing fantastic. His mental health and his well-being are solid, 100%. You guys see him all the time, every video. Look at him. He's so calm, he doesn't even know what to do. He's like, well, maybe a nap. I'll scratch my chest a little. Come in for a snuggle. And that's just... What are you guys talking about? So that's why I kind of put food lower, because I've finally been able to experiment and understand that you can take a horse that has come from somewhere where he's lived, he's been alive, he's maybe not completely thrived, he was low on groceries when he got here, but you know, you can just give basic food on a basic good schedule that has them having food most of the time, which is quite a lot in his world, and do fantastic. So what's the difference between this and one that has grown up getting all kinds of extra things, you know? And those horses don't, plenty of them don't tend to be so well-rounded. Difference in environment, difference in social structure, difference in food. So we must take a holistic, we want to make sure to bring in all aspects. Hey, there's Gracie. Let's go say hi to her. All aspects of horse care for their mental health. But they can be graded. Uh-oh, she has to leave. Yoko's sent her off. You turn into a bossy pants. To take care of them effectively for their physical health and their mental health. And in the end, I'm really glad I was able to kind of rescue a couple of these guys, him and Annie. It has allowed me to really sort of put some theories to the test on what makes a healthy horse. How can we get horses to be happy? How can we get them to be calm? How can we have them be part of our world, our captive world, and not lose their mind? Like, what steps? And I could take them from these blank slates that I've got and just turn them into, I don't even know if I turn them into anything. You just are, and you just stay this way. They're not getting worse. Nobody's getting worse here, you know, and that is a fantastic thing. So I really want to discuss that. Mental health for horses, I think, is vital. It's very, very important. When we get to the training aspect of things, I think it's another scale altogether. I think I told you guys about the article that Ross Jacobs wrote about making sure to be able to stress your horses a little bit. Some people don't ever want to stress their horses, and that can come in all flavors as well, whether it's from riding or groundwork, feeding practices, all kinds of things. But we must be able to communicate with these guys and say, hey, I'm on your side, you're okay, and not have them say to us, hey, you do something for me now, or I'm gonna flip out. And they just stay calm and quiet. I know she's coming. I know. Hi, Lena. Coolest horse on the planet. Come here. One more horse to feature. This is Lena. If you guys are new here, Lena's an Oldenburg draft, and she is the sweetest. No, just leave Annie alone. I don't want you to talk to her. Annie's right here trying to come in for a sniff. But Lena's not a big fan. Are you? No, you're not. So, yes. Objective proof, objective evidence of what I believe works. Can I do better? Absolutely, I think I can do better. Still working at it. It's always a work in progress. But I've got horses that just, you know, they just come around. And they're happy. And they're not brushed all the time. But they're well fed. They've got a good social structure. We've got a good relationship. And those things are absolutely vital. So, that's it. I know this has kind of been a bit of a run along kind of video. A little bit amusing, I hope. At least I got all these characters in here. You guys chewing on my chair? Why does it look particularly wet on the handle right here? Is that you? Who's licking my chair? Weirdos. Hey, buddy. So, yes, that's it. If there's any thoughts or questions, let me know anytime. I'll be happy to chit chat about it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. No chewing. Somebody's been chewing on my chair. Okay. Till next time.